Breaking news while you were sleeping. President Donald Trump has tested positive for the coronavirus. His wife Melania also testing positive. White House staff now going under quarantine, and this comes just hours after one of the president's top aides, Hope Hicks, started feeling ill and learned that she is infected with the coronavirus as well. This is how we top our news this half hour.
Yeah, the news the president has the coronavirus kind of having a domino effect, sparking concerns with about a month left until the presidential election. And there's also questions about the health of Democratic candidate Joe Biden.
As there was a debate on Tuesday, was he exposed? Tracy Potts is live with what all of this means for the president, the country, and the campaign. Tracy, good morning.
The health of the president is the number one concern. It's the number one priority. And as of this evening, actually just a few hours ago overnight, the White House doctor says he's doing well.
I just want to say that the end of the pandemic is in sight.
President Trump's final public appearance before announcing to the world via Twitter that he and First Lady Melania Trump have tested positive for COVID-19, adding, "We will begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. We will get through this together."
If the president can get it, anyone can get it, and that's what's so disturbing.
The White House physician confirming that President and Mrs. Trump are feeling well and will quarantine at the White House. A senior administration official says he'll work from the White House residence. The news came shortly after we learned that Hope Hicks, one of the president's top aides, tested positive.
She has spent with the president throughout her time at the White House, not to mention in the past few days. So that will give you some sense of why the president is taking this so seriously.
Hicks was with the president at the debate in Cleveland Tuesday and in Minnesota Wednesday. That's when she began having symptoms, which means she could have been contagious earlier.
We spend a lot of time with Hope and others, so we'll see what happens.
Several White House officials, campaign staffers, and Trump family members have been in contact with Hicks in recent days. She was seen traveling on Air Force One without a mask.
This is a high-risk exposure in an enclosed environment. Everybody on that flight, 14 days quarantine, regardless of what your test shows.
Safety protocols are in place for White House staff. There's also concern about Democratic nominee Joe Biden, who stood 6 feet away from the president for an hour and a half at Tuesday's debate. The president of the United States now infected with coronavirus and unable to campaign in person for the next 2 weeks, with the election now just over a month away. So this raises lots of questions. We talked about the president's health, but also questions about what happens from here. Today, the president was supposed to be in Florida at a rally in Orlando. That, of course, has been canceled. And then what happens with the debates, especially the next one that was supposed to happen on October 15th? That's within the quarantine window. So the president presumably would not be able to participate in person. Will they try to do something virtually? Will he still be well? Many questions this morning about how this affects the election. Again, just 32 days away.
Well, Tracy, you know there is quite the scramble right now to figure all of that out. There are a lot of questions as to what happens next, and we want to get to Local 4 health expert Dr. Frank McGeorge. He's joining us now live to answer some of these questions. Thank you for joining us, Dr. McGeorge. Let's start with the fact that the president is 74 years old. How does age play a role in his outcome now that he's tested positive?
Well, you know, of course, Rhonda, age plays a huge role in this disease. COVID-19 very notably causes much more severe illness, much more of a risk of hospitalization and even death in people older than 65 years old. So 74 is clearly a huge risk factor for much more serious disease. Add on top of that the president's body mass index or his weight. Obesity and even being overweight increases a person's risk significantly. So those two combined do put him at a much higher risk category. Now, I will say, of course, the overall other health of the individual plays into it, as well as the amount of virus that a person was exposed to. Those are factors that we can't really judge well at this point, but based on what we do know about the president's overall health, other than his overweight condition, he does appear to be generally healthy.
So we know that we've heard the president and many people around him are tested daily for the coronavirus. So clearly the testing worked. They know that someone was exposed, but how would they then become exposed?
Well, so, it's possible that, first of all, the test that is done daily might have been a false negative. So if on the first day or the early parts, somebody just incidentally or coincidentally gets a false negative test and that should have been positive, and the next day they go to work and it is positive, in fact. So that's one possibility, is just the simple characteristic of the test. It's certainly also possible that early on in someone's illness, it's actually possible to be contagious to a mild degree, but still not be excreting or shedding enough virus for the test to pick up and to turn positive. So early on in the illness, if the test is done too quickly, within the first day or two or three even of infection, the test may be negative simply because you're not excreting enough virus for the test to pick up, but you may still be contagious. So that's how somebody could basically slip under the radar and still be within range of being infectious, but still not be positive on a test.
Well, we appreciate your perspective as always, Dr. McGeorge. Thank you. We do want to turn our attention now to reaction that's happening not just across the country, but across the world as other world leaders are now weighing in.
Yeah. Good morning, Rhonda and everybody. The president and first lady, the diagnosis ruling social media this morning. It appears world leaders are waking up to the news. Of course, they are ahead of us to the east, and we have more on that angle. World leaders chiming in about the president and first lady's COVID results. Around 4 o'clock this morning, England's Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted saying, "My best wishes to President Trump and the First Lady. Hope they both have a speedy recovery from coronavirus." Of course, you remember Boris Johnson tested positive for coronavirus back in March. He was the first major world leader confirmed to have COVID-19, so he knows of what he speaks. President Trump joins a long list of world leaders who have gotten the virus, including Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro and England's Prince Charles. So it would be interesting to monitor Twitter this morning and throughout the day, really, to see how the world reacts as they learn of this diagnosis. Let's go back to you.